Listen close, because what I'm laying out is pulled straight from solid reports backed by names with badges and credentials who went on the record. We're talking street cops, former feds who've seen it all, hard-nosed prosecutors, and the kind of reporters who actually do the legwork. If we're connecting dots, I'll call it analysis, not gospel. Any one-off rumors, you'll know exactly which mouth they crawled out of. Nobody's wearing the suspect label yet. The hunt for whoever snatched Nancy Guthrie is still very much a live wire, burning through the night. You know something? Don't sit on it. Dial 1-800, get the feds on the line, or hit up the Pima County Sheriff's non-emergency desk at 520-381-4900. It's been 61 days, 61 long, cold days since 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, mother of that Today Show host Savannah, just vanished into the black from her Tucson home in the foothills while the rest of the world was dreaming. 2 months of a family begging a monster on camera. 2 months of a reward fund climbing past $1 million. 2 months of feds hitting the labs, reporters rotting on stakeouts, and local searchers burning the candle at both ends, clawing at every scrap of a lead. 61 days, and we got 0 callers, 0 names on the board. Nothing. You want to know why this one won't let me sleep? It ain't about her famous kid or the cameras. It's about the shadows moving behind the scenes. It's about what's rotten inside the very machine that's built to bring her home. What's going on in those precinct halls right now? Is a damn loud siren explaining why we're 2 months in with 0 answers and a cold trail that's getting colder. The feds got the DNA. They got the tapes. They got those damn flower pots and a list of contractors they're grilling as we speak. Then this ex-prosecutor, a guy who spent a lifetime burying killers under the prison, steps in front of a lens this week and dropped a bomb that's lit up the wire for the last 24 hours. No dancing around it, no maybe or what if. He didn't play it safe with possibly or could be. This man laid down a heavy, dead certain bet that'll make your skin crawl. He pointed his finger right where he thinks the bastard who took Nancy is hiding out. I'm holding that back for a minute. Because when you hear the whole thing, you gotta see the wreckage that led us here. You need the context before the hammer drops. See, this ain't just talk. It's wired into the DNA evidence, linked to those flower pots, and tethered to the whole ugly mess. It ties into Banfield's Day 60 report on the contractors and the total breakdown happening inside the Pima County Sheriff's office. Once you see all the jagged pieces laid out together, this man's words are going to punch you harder than any cheap headline ever could. Stick with me. Let's look at the Fed's hand. Before we touch this week's news, I'm laying out the whole grim evidence board. If you've been following the breadcrumbs, you'll know some of this, but you gotta weigh it all at once to see the horror of why this conversation matters so damn much. Nancy Guthrie was last seen alive in her Tucson house in the foothills, back on January 31st, 2026. The missing persons report hit the desk the next morning, February 1st, when she just didn't show. She wasn't in her pew at church. That was the tripwire. Everyone who knew Nancy said the same thing. She never, ever missed service. If she wasn't there, it meant things had gone sideways, and boy did they ever. The air in that house was already heavy. The feds are betting she was snatched in those dead hours of the night, right on the edge of January and February. There was blood on the front porch. The back doors, the screen, and the heavy kitchen door were found wide open like an invitation. The back gate was swinging too. Now, you might think she ran or was dragged out in a panic, but that's where you're wrong. It wasn't a forced entry or a frantic exit. Here's the detail that'll make your blood go cold, something Banfield dug up from her sources. Straight from the cops for her podcast, around day 58. It changes the whole damn landscape of this nightmare. Those doors weren't just left unlocked or caught by a breeze. Someone took the time to prop them open on purpose. Cold, calculated. The back way was held open. And the tool this predator used? Nancy's own flower pots? Grabbed them right off her property? Think about that for a second. This wasn't some random tweaker. This was a guy who knew the layout and had a plan. He crept through the yard, found her pots, and used them to wedge that screen door open so he could slip back out. He did the same to the kitchen door and the back gate. 3 exits, all jammed open with her own heavy ceramics. Sources tell Banfield The patio was likely where the devil walked in, she said on her show, and I'm just putting it in plain talk. That had absolutely sickened her. This monster used Nancy's own stuff to build his way into her life and take her. He used those pretty pots to hold the screen door for himself. Bob Cryer, a retired SWAT boss who saw plenty of hell and put in years with the Pima County Sheriffs, sat down with Banfield to chew over this sick little detail. He confirmed what we all feared. That kind of staging means this was planned out way before the first drop of blood hit the porch. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment screw-up. Someone mapped out the entry, the control, and the clean getaway. It's a predator's blueprint. There wasn't a single accidental move here. He knew how to break in, keep her quiet, and disappear into the Tucson night. The air's dead in a crime scene. You got multiple exits and gotta control the variables. Yes and no. We don't know who propped those doors open. If the suspect did it, he did it with a dark purpose. They wanted a fast way out. A quick avenue of egress if the plan went south or things got messy. Banfield offered an analytical interpretation of the scene, which she was careful to label as exactly that. Those propped back doors were likely the exit, but Nancy's limited mobility probably threw a wrench in that plan. This forced the suspect to haul her out the front instead. Banfield confirmed the gritty details of the struggle. A high-level law enforcement source confirmed the property's security cameras had been smashed to pieces before the abduction. Not just one, but multiple. This predator knew the security layout and neutralized the eyes of the house first. Look at the man on the FBI footage, February 12th, 11 days after Nancy Guthrie was reported missing. The FBI put out doorbell camera video. You see a masked figure outside Nancy's home the night she vanished. The Bureau's profile describes a male, 5'9" to 5'10" tall with an average build. He wore dark clothes, black gloves, and sneakers. He's hauling a black 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker backpack. He's visibly armed with a holster. At one point, the suspect actually uses the shrubbery to stay hidden. He uses the landscaping right there at the front door to hide his face. Think about that cold calculation. This person's at the door, ready to do something horrific to an 84-year-old woman in her own home. He's pausing to use her own bushes to block the camera. That ain't panic, folks. That is pure composure. That's someone who's thought through every step. February 13th, 12 days into this nightmare, the investigation shifted. Officials confirmed they recovered DNA at the property. Critically, that DNA doesn't belong to Nancy Guthrie at all. It doesn't belong to anyone close to her. Sheriff Nanos told CNN his lab had already excluded certain DNA. He ruled out DNA from Nancy, her family, her landscaper, and even the woman who kept her house. What's left is unidentified non-household DNA at an abduction scene. That's a massive piece of evidence to hold. That's the kind of lead that can end a manhunt. And then there's the matter of the recovered glove. Investigators found a glove they believe matches the type worn by the masked suspect in the FBI surveillance footage. It was ditched 10 miles from Nancy's home. That glove is currently at the lab being tested for DNA. But here's where the process broke down. This is why this case is stalling out while a killer walks. Brian Enton's reporting at NewsNation revealed they sent the glove to a private laboratory down in Florida. They chose that over the FBI's direct channels. The problem with that move is a total bureaucratic nightmare. The FBI won't accept DNA data directly from private labs. The whole process turns into a slow-motion chain. The Florida lab tests it, then that data's got to be sent back to Arizona's state system for processing. From there, it's got to be uploaded and verified before it's shared with the FBI for entry into CODIS. CODIS is the National DNA Index, the big database law enforcement agencies across the country use to catch criminals. They use it to match DNA to known predators. A source called this a slow catch-up process for investigators. That same source said the FBI could have processed the data in 1 day if it went through proper channels. Every day the DNA sits outside the system, a match stays invisible, the Pima County Sheriff's Office spoke. They claimed, contrary to the reporting, that the FBI actually agreed to this private laboratory arrangement. That dispute over who made the call is unresolved, but here is what we know for a cold fact. There is DNA, there is a glove, there's a pipeline that experts say is moving slower than it should. And there's a man on camera whose name we don't know. Meanwhile, the Guthrie family is barely holding on. They're trapped in a nightmare. Savannah Guthrie confirmed the family received credible ransom demands from the kidnapper. They recorded video messages in response. They're ready to talk. They've offered a $1 million reward. That's for information leading to Nancy's recovery. The FBI is offering another $100,000 separately. Between the family, the feds, and Crime Stoppers, the total pool is over $1.1 million now. And still, as of today, April 2nd, nobody's talked. No information has led to a single public arrest. 61 days, over $1 million on the table, DNA in a pipeline, and no one is in handcuffs. This department is in a state of crisis. Now, we got to talk about what's happening inside Pima County. Botched cases rot from the head down. Look at the sheriff's office. That viral Murphy statement, it surely isn't just about the lone suspect. It is about a broken machine. You won't get what Murphy's truly saying until you see the rot festering deep behind the scenes. Inside the unit running this 2-month hunt, Sheriff Chris Nanos has been the loud frontman, acting like he is in total, absolute control. He has owned this case since the start. He is the elected Pima County Sheriff, standing tall for every single damn camera lens. At every single presser and media sit-down, Nanos has played the part of a loyal captain who refuses to ever abandon his own loyal crew. He told the press directly he has no regrets about his team's work. He mocked critics as being nothing but regular, annoying, Monday morning quarterbacks. He dismissed their reports as mere hit pieces. But lately, a much darker reality has surfaced that does not match his own scripted public image at all. It is a far cry from the picture Nanos painted for us. And it all started with the crime scene during those first chaotic days. Sheriff Nanos personally ordered the crime scene at Nancy's Foothills home to be reopened, despite the massive forensic risks involved for the entire case. To get why that is a disaster, you need to hear from a man who has real professional weight on the subject. Dr. Richard Carmona isn't just another talking head. He was the 17th Surgeon General of the whole United States of America, period. Before that, he put in 30 years at the Pima County Sheriff's Department. He knows exactly where the bodies are buried in that building. He knows how scenes are handled. When News Nation's Brian Enton grilled him, Carmona did not pull a single one of his punches. Carmona gave a straight answer. He said once a scene is corrupted, that is the ballgame. It is over right then. You cannot fix a broken crime scene. He cited video of a pizza car driving right across that front lawn while the scene was active. That car crossed while the scene was still hot. He made the legal fallout crystal clear for everyone in the room. Any high-priced defense lawyer, he warned, could use that mess to destroy the physical evidence when the trial finally begins in court today. They have called the work incompetent because that is simply not how a professional criminal investigation is ever supposed to be run. A pizza guy on a live crime scene is not just some small mistake. It is a total, systemic failure of command and control. It could sink the whole case. Carmona was not the only expert with the guts to stand up and call out Nanos. Nancy Grace, a veteran prosecutor with many decades of skin in the American legal game, did not hold back her own sharp tongue either. She went on Sean Hannity's show and demanded they yank Nanos off this case for the good of the justice system. She called it the destruction of evidence. By opening that scene too early, she says they trashed the vital proof for good entirely. She said missteps was way too soft. She called them screw-ups and noted the FBI would never be this damn sloppy on the clock. Let us dig much deeper, because what happened to that crime scene in February was only the first crack in the department's foundation. What followed next is something so damaging to the department's name that it is almost without any historical or legal precedent. In December of 2025, before Nancy Guthrie was even missing, Sheriff Nanos sat for a long, sworn and recorded deposition. That sworn testimony was part of a major lawsuit from Aaron Cross, the guy serving as president of the Pima County Deputy Organization's own local union. This union covers over 300 of Nanos' own deputies. He was sitting under oath, facing real jail time for lying to them during testimony. They asked him straight if he had ever been suspended as a cop. He looked them in the eye and flatly said no. Then the Arizona Republic leaked official files from the El Paso police in Texas showing that Chris Nanos was definitely suspended multiple times during his career. He wasn't just suspended once. It was 8 separate times. There were 8 black marks between 1976 and 1982. 8 separate brutal hits to his record. He lost 37 days of pay. The long list of his offenses is wide enough to make your own tired head spin. The files included excessive force, like the 15-day suspension he got after he reportedly beat a helpless suspect in the head back in the day. The poor victim needed intensive care after that beating. Throw in some illegal gambling and open insubordination against his own high-ranking superiors at work. He faced charges for firing his weapon, making threats, neglecting his duty, and being habitually late to the job every day. That is 8 suspensions and 37 days of pay lost in just 6 years before he finally decided to pack his bags for good and leave. He resigned because he was about to be fired for his insubordination and a track record of being consistently and dangerously inefficient. The axe was coming down. He quit instead. Then 40 years passed, and he acted like the slate was totally clean now. Those records stayed hidden from his Arizona bio, but then the Arizona Republic put those El Paso files on full blast for everyone. Nanos claimed he thought the question was only about his time in Pima County, a very convenient bit of selective legal memory. Supervisor Matt Hines said that lie was enough to disqualify any employee from working for this county in any capacity, especially a cop. Hines told the press that Nanos' entire 42-year career in law enforcement seems to be built on nothing but a total fraud. A sitting supervisor is on the record about the sitting sheriff currently running a major national kidnapping investigation. Then March 24th arrived. That is when the Pima County deputy emerged. Blood in the water. An outfit representing over 300 deputies, the very men and women grinding under Nanos every single day, held a D's par formal vote of no confidence. When those ballots were tallied, 241 deputies voted no faith and walked out. 65 abstained. Not one soul voted to keep trusting their sheriff. Not one. 0 out of 241 who cast ballots chose to back him up. Union boss Sergeant Aaron Cross marched before the Board of Supervisors and told them straight that Nanos had burned the trust of his deputies and the whole damn community. He demanded action. The Board of Supervisors answered back. They voted as one to trigger Arizona Revised Statute 11-253, a law so ancient it's from the territorial days before Arizona was even a state. It's so rare there's practically zero modern case law to look at. That statute hands the board the power to force any county official to provide reports under oath about their own conduct and their department's filth. If the official don't comply within 10 days, the board can vote to kick him out of office. Supervisor Matt Hines said Nanos knifed the trust this community put in him. That April 7th board showdown is when we see if this law's got teeth or just gums. There's a recall hunt moving too. Ex-congressional hopeful Daniel Gutierrez kicked it off March 12th. They need over 122,000 legitimate voter signatures from Pima County by July 10th. Gutierrez called it a nonpartisan push and said both Republicans and Democrats are signing their names. And then, because this nightmare's got no bottom, on March 26th, Tucson cops busted a Pima County Sheriff's deputy on a kidnapping charge. Deputy's name is Travis Reynolds, 22 years old. Paperwork says Reynolds was moving a handcuffed woman to the Pima County jail when they popped him for kidnapping. That deputy's been fired since. He reportedly creeped on her looks, shared his vape, and told her they should hit a cheap hotel for sex. He allegedly flashed explicit videos on his phone at her. He trapped her in that patrol car for nearly an hour and 40 minutes before finally booking her. Security footage from deep inside the Pima County jail facility backed up her story. In his own statement to The Heat, Reynolds said he maybe did or maybe didn't talk sex with the detainee or show her porn. A judge set bond at $200,000, told him to stay away from the victim, and stripped his gun rights. Reynolds was canned. His first hearing is set for April 6th. Same day, Savannah Guthrie hits the Today Show again, when the press asked the Pima County Sheriff's Department if Travis Reynolds had any part in the Nancy Guthrie case before he got fired. The department clammed up. That's the agency running this whole ugly mess. A sheriff caught lying under oath about his own dirty record. A crime scene, a former surgeon general, called tainted and corrupted, a no-confidence vote from every deputy who cast a ballot, a board of supervisors using a dusty pioneer-era law, a recall in the works, and a fired deputy busted for kidnapping whose ties to the Guthrie hunt the department won't talk about. When an ex-prosecutor calls this a clown show, understand, that's not just talk. It's a professional's view from someone who spent decades watching systems succeed or collapse at their core mission. And this outfit right now is rotting. On day 60 of the Nancy Guthrie search, that's April 1st, the day before this video, Ashley Banfield dropped a new drop-dead serious episode. The lead she broke there hooks right into a theory an ex-prosecutor's about to lay out. Banfield reported that the law now hunting for info on contractors, subs, and day laborers who might have had access to Nancy Guthrie's place or her Foothills neighborhood before she vanished. An inside source close to the case called tracking these workers a total disaster. Let's think about what that boots-on-the-ground work actually looks like. The Catalina Foothills is high-end territory. Homes like Nancy's have set schedules. Gardeners coming every week, pool, guys, AC techs, painters, roofers, handymen for the little stuff. The neighborhood's got utility crews, tree cutters, construction crews on the lots nearby. Every single contractor might have their own subs. Some subs hire day laborers, maybe week to week, maybe for cash under the table. No paper trail, no formal hiring files, just some guy who showed up, worked, and vanished. Finding every one of them, everyone who walked past Nancy's gate or spotted her back patio, is bone-white fear starts with a shadow. She scouted every lens and every gap, a massive task. When an insider with deep knowledge of the investigation calls this a wreck, they aren't kidding. They're describing the hell of trying to reconstruct over 30 days of off-the-books labor in a quiet neighborhood. You end up staring at a mountain of names, half of them missing, some overlapping, and zero trail. Banfield hauled in a retired detective, Clint Cole, to dissect this angle. Cole nailed the Woodrum case and spoke specifically about how badges handle contractor-heavy hunts. The one observation he made that really stuck with me was this. In cases like this, investigators might have already looked the monster in the eyes, not because they identify him as the guy, but cause they beat on every door, called every number, and tracked down every drifter they could find. And one of those ghosts might have been the animal who took Nancy Guthrie. He would have answered calmly, gave his name, and talked about his day job. Cops at that stage would have had zero reason to hold him. They've got a right to keep their mouth shut. Even if they aren't a suspect, they don't have to talk to us at all. So what's the next play? You got to find a way to get that info through other dirty means. Now take that cold observation and weigh it against what we know about the carnage at the crime scene itself. The smashed pots, the cameras, the back gate left swinging, and a predator who knew exactly where to stand to dodge the doorbell lens. Someone knew the layout of that property, not from the street or a satellite map, but from standing there, from working there, or from some rat nearby. That depth of familiarity doesn't come from some quick drive-by. It comes from real time spent on or near that property. If the suspect is someone who worked that neighborhood, someone who moved through it in a professional capacity before vanishing into the black labor market, then the investigative challenge is exactly the nightmare as described. A total cash-paid, paperless, black market mess of names and phone numbers and faces that investigators are still trying to sort out on day 61. Here's the jagged piece that links the contractor angle directly to the blood and DNA evidence. if the beast who took Nancy's got a criminal record, if they've been through the Pima County meat grinder before, if their DNA profile exists somewhere in a database, then the glove currently being processed through a Florida lab and an Arizona state pipeline before it hits CODIS is not just physical evidence. It's the one string that could burn the house down. The question is how long that takes, which a former prosecutor decided to answer this week. And his answer is going to wreck how you see this entire picture. Matt Murphy, the full reveal. Matt Murphy is a former veteran prosecutor from Orange County, California. He's not some media personality. He's not a commentator who just parachutes into cases to offer hot takes. He is someone who lived in a courtroom for years, dragging cases through the grime of the justice system and understanding how investigations breathe and how they rot and what a real profile looks like when they have one and what it means when they're empty-handed. He sat down with Joe Patuto on the Professor Joe Explains YouTube channel for a full-length, extended interview on the Nancy Guthrie case. That talk's been referenced by Parade, AOL, and multiple news sites in the last 24 hours. His words have been shared tens of thousands of times across social media, and I want to give them to you in full, not clipped, not paraphrased, and not filtered through a headline. This is his direct statement verified across multiple credentialed news outlets. Matt Murphy said, "I'll bet my bottom dollar that this guy, whoever he is, turns out to be a known dude in the jail of Pima County, and I wouldn't be surprised." And this is based on my own jaded view. If this guy isn't a frequent flyer who got kicked loose on some garbage social justice program, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. I want to stay with that for a moment. I'll bet my bottom dollar. That's not analyst talk. That's not a possibility language. That's a man who's spent a career reading criminal profiles and institutional failures, reading the gap between what a case looks like and what it truly is, and putting his name behind a specific theory, a bet, his bottom dollar. Now, let's gut the quote because every single word matters. A known dude in the jail of Pima County. That phrase has a specific meaning in the world of handcuffs. It doesn't mean someone vaguely linked to crime. It means someone who's already cuffed and documented in the system. Someone who has been arrested, booked, and processed, possibly having his DNA sampled, depending on the nature of his prior criminal record. The stench of a crime scene never leaves. This ghost's got a record, a face the law has already seen and handled. A known player, not some shadow, just not yet pinned to this specific horror. A frequent flyer, the term used by the boys. Inside the system for the scum who cycles, who comes through the meat grinder, gets processed, and is kicked back out again, only to crawl back. Maybe on fresh charges, or because a prior release went south. This is the guy who has been rotting in Pima County Jail way more than once or twice. The guy, the deputies, booking officers, and prosecutors all know by name. Then Murphy digs deeper. He says he wouldn't be shocked if this animal was cut loose through some ridiculous, soft social justice program. That's a sharp, jagged accusation aimed right at the throat of Pima County's pretrial release and their repeat offender policy. Murphy isn't just spouting dry academic policy talk. He's saying this case is where the system puked out someone who should be caged. He is saying the system failed by letting a predator walk free. That monster, freed by officials who ignored the clear, present danger, went out and committed a horror like this. Murphy then turned his cold fire directly at the people who are running things. He called the whole investigation a damn clown show. He wasn't talking in generalities. He started naming the names responsible for it. He named Sheriff Chris Nanos. He named Pima County Attorney Laura Conover, two heavy hitters responsible for the county's broken justice machinery. These are the top officials who are ultimately responsible for the grinding criminal justice machinery down here in Pima County. He was called out by a former prosecutor who spent his career inside that same meat grinder in a different county nearby. He called them the ones presiding over a total clown show. When a former lawyer names a sitting sheriff and attorney on camera, That isn't just recklessness. That's a deliberate strike. Murphy knows exactly what he's doing when he puts those names in that sentence. He's placing the blame. He's saying these are the people who built the toxic environment that this case is now operating inside. These are the people accountable for how that broken environment functions, and he is saying right now, it simply is not functioning. After calling it a clown show and naming Nanos and Conover after betting his own money, Murphy had this to say. I want you to hear these words slowly. The Guthrie family deserves a lot better. 5 words that carry a heavy weight. Not a policy argument or some critique, but a moral statement from a man who has watched broken families walk into courtrooms. He's seen what it looks like when the system works and when it fails them. The Guthrie family deserves a lot better. And what Murphy is saying in those 5 words is, they aren't getting it. Now, let's put the pieces of this together. This is what we've been building toward for an hour. Ashley Banfield says the suspect likely had professional access to Nancy's neighborhood. The process of tracking those workers is a total mess. Law enforcement may have already spoken to this killer without even knowing. The flower pot staging says this was someone who knew the yard, not a stranger, but someone who had been close before. The DNA evidence says there is non-family, non-household DNA from the scene. A single glove is sitting in a lab in Florida. That DNA hasn't been run through the full CODIS pipeline because of a routing choice that sources say created a massive delay. The FBI profile says this is a male, 5'9" to 5'10" with an average build. He came armed and masked. He was prepared and he neutralized those cameras before entry. Matt Murphy, betting his bottom dollar, says the killer is a known dude. A frequent flyer in the Pima County jail system, someone who may have been cut loose through a program with no accountability for who they were and what they were capable of. If Murphy is right, that DNA match is just waiting to happen. The person who took Nancy Guthrie may already be in a database. Their fingerprints and booking photo are likely already on file. Their mugshot is in a system. Someone in the pipeline between the lab and the FBI is sitting on the cold truth. This family has been waiting 61 days. That is what Murphy is saying when he bets his hard-earned bottom dollar on it. Not just that the suspect is known, but that the system naming Nanos and Conover is the reason we have no answer. The same system that released this person on a ridiculous social justice program. The system is being asked to account for itself. It must speak on April 7th under oath. The question is whether it will. Here's where we are on day 61. April 2nd, 2026. Savannah Guthrie is returning to the Today Show on April 6th. She spoke to Hoda in an interview. Savannah Guthrie is returning to the Today Show on April 6th. She spoke to Hoda Kotb in a deeply emotional interview. I want to smile, and when I do, it will be real, and my joy will be my protest, she told the world. That's the reason we don't have an answer yet. The system is being hauled in to account for itself under oath. Here is where we stand on day 61, April 2nd, 2026. Savannah Guthrie is returning to the show on the 6th. She told Hoda Kotb during a raw, emotional interview, I want to smile, and when I do, it will be real, and my joy is protest. She doesn't know if she still belongs there anymore, but she said she is going to try her best to find her way back. Old blood's tough to scrub out. On April 6th, former Deputy Travis Reynolds hits court for his hearing. The rot starts deep. On April 7th, Sheriff Chris Nanos gotta face the Pima County Board of Supervisors and finally answer for his sin. He's under the thumb of Arizona Revised Statute 11253. The board's got the legal power to squeeze him hard. They're going to force him to answer questions under oath about his own conduct and how he's running that department. If he ducks out of that legal window, they'll vote his seat vacant. He claims he'll comply, but talk's always been cheap. We'll see what he spills under oath when he's sitting before a board that's already gone on record calling his whole career a fraud. His own deputy organization voted unanimously to kick him out. We don't know the truth yet, but the recall effort's still clawing forward now. They need 122,000 signatures before July 10th. Meanwhile, that DNA is just sitting in some damn bureaucratic pipeline. That glove is in a Florida lab, crawling back through Arizona's state system before it can ever get a real sniff at CODIS. The contractor canvas is a total mess, according to a source. This investigation's now dragging into its own long third month. No suspect, no cuffs, and no breakthrough, but a former prosecutor's gone on camera putting his own real name on the line for this. He is betting his last dollar that the person who snatched Nancy Guthrie is someone the system already knows very well by name. This guy is a frequent flyer, someone already rotting in the Pima County system. Nancy's 84, and she is still out there somewhere all alone. Her daughter is back at work, claiming joy is her only protest. The family's put up $1 million to get her back safely. $1 million for the truth. They filmed video messages meant for the monster who has got their mother in his grip. They are ready to talk. They should not be the ones still waiting in the dark. But here we are on day 61 and still counting. I gotta say something before you go. This case has brought every loud voice out into the open. Some voices were pros, some were just reckless. Hell, some media outlets even named people who did not do a single damn thing. The family's considering legal lawsuits, while the sheriff calls reporters Monday morning quarterbacks. Everyone's just pointing fingers while she is still gone. Through all the noise, Nancy Guthrie is still missing. This isn't about the talking heads, it's about an old woman who just disappeared. She's the reason we're on video 5. She's the reason there's going to be a video 6. We're not stopping now. Until we get an answer, we are going to keep building this picture as carefully and as accurately as we possibly can right now. If you have any info, any detail, or any name, anything that felt wrong in that neighborhood, then you really need to speak up. Please call 1-800-CALL-FBI or hit the Pima County Sheriff's non-emergency line at 520-35149 right now. The reward's over $1 million. Someone knows something, and they might be watching this very screen at this exact moment in time right now.